それからは大忙しだった。大切な婚約者をもてなすためにドレスや宝石、新たな従者なども手配した。俺は抱き枕まで購入して眠れぬ夜を過ごした。
All right, my friends, we got Betrothed to My Sister's Ex, episode number 2. As you guys know, I was feeling a little shaky coming out of episode 1, but episode 2 has put all of that to bed, and I think this was a tremendously good episode of just anime, period. But I think they really accomplished something, is they breathed and gave life to 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros' past, and I think that's really vitally important. Most of the episode was spent with him as a child and going through the different turmoil of being in like a dukedom's house and basically being like the heir to a dukedom before. And we find that his mother was being kind of like mistreated a little bit from the Duke's wife because she was like the concubine, she was the second. And what ended up happening is the appropriate wife, you know, the first wife, ended up bearing a lot of children that were female, so they couldn't inherit based on the time and things like that. They couldn't inherit the dukedom, so it got then passed down to 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros. Well, because of that, the first wife did not take that news well, and she offed herself. And that left 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros in a weird position because his mother, who had been abused this whole time, got promoted to first wife. But she very much was like, I don't want this. I don't want this position. And so she left with her and her son. And he climbed his way up to be a duke himself. You know, he earned his own right to be a duke himself in the whatever the city or place he's from. Starts with the I don't remember what the exact name is, but he worked his way up, and then, you know, because of his stature that he worked up, you know, the next thing was to find a wife. And, you know, through his friendship that led him to the Sheridan family, where he finally met Marie. And then we flash forward back, and now we have him trying to kind of undo the misunderstanding between him and Mary. And just a fantastic episode. I think he was very endearing. I think that his confession was came on very strong. I like that Mary doesn't really completely believe him, you know, because she's under different impressions. And I love that it really showed her being vulnerable in like a state of like, this is the new me now, kind of coming to grips with that. Also, I think her name is Mio, which is 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros' main maid. And that's been established since he was a kid. Like, she's been his main maid or main attendant since he was a child, which is kind of funny to think that he didn't like take her as his wife, or, you know, didn't take her as like his, you know, whatever. But of course, it all has to do with stature and nobility, and she probably isn't. But that is a thought that I did have as I was watching the episode. But overall, episode 2 really came in and showed out and was much better than episode 1. I still have the same thought of, I do genuinely think that Betrothed to My Sister's Ex is the worst name possible, because the reality is 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros never really met Anastasia, whatever her name is. You know, he just saw her and went, ill. He went brother ill and was like, I need Marie in my life. And although he was set to be engaged to her and then she died, or, you know, quote unquote died in the accident, which I think she's still alive somewhere, they never actually were a thing. So the whole name of Betrothed to My Sister's Ex, I still think is the stupidest name ever, because that's just not true. You're just betrothed to who wanted you. He just got the name confused. So worst naming of the season for sure, just because it's completely inaccurate. But regardless, episode 2 is fantastic. So I'm going to leave it at that. I can't wait to watch more of Betrothed. I think this is a fantastic anime. And again, it's fantastic now. But again, asking me back in episode 1, I was a little like 50-50 on it. I was like, this is going to either, episode 2 is going to come in and be garbage, or it's going to come in and be really good. And thankfully, we're in the really good status. So overall, great show. Can't wait to watch more here on the channel with you guys. Hopefully you guys like it as much as I do. If you don't, let me know in the comments below. I'm totally down to just not cover this. But if you guys are liking it, definitely I will continue to cover this. So more than likely, I will see you guys next week for episode 3 as we continue our journey with Marie and 𝐒𝐻𝐼ros. All right, my friends. Peace.